Right, we're now going to look at the portable circular saw. This is a Makita, quite a nice circular saw. Okay, and as with all portable power tools, once again I'll remind you that leads must be checked, plugs must be checked, casing, and any fixings, appropriate pat test. And it is a double insulated tool with that mark there, box within box. It is also approved. It has a CE marking on it. So we have a circular saw. One of the things to check when you're checking the tool out, as I said, we've just looked at which is the most common tool, portable power tools. But what isn't is guards, and in this case, with a circular saw, this guard here must be fully operational. It must return, okay? So that as it's shutting down or stopping, it doesn't expose that blade if you were to put it down on the ground to keep that blade exposed as you're putting it down. Okay, if I can just keep it open for a bit. It must have a riving knife to keep the material parting and not pinching the saw blade. Of users of all circular saws, you should have an understanding of what type of blade you are using as well. In this case, we have a rip saw because the angles of the tips are behind the center or the spindle, so those are lining up behind. You can take that as a rip saw, a very positive hook to the teeth, and they are tungsten carbide. Quite a coarse saw because the spacing's in between the teeth. You can get finer ones. And a lot of people refer or associate fine cutting blades as crosscuts, okay, which is not the case. It's a common mistake, okay, but we have a rip saw here. They can be coarse or very fine. The same with crosscuts. You can have very coarse or very fine. When we refer to fineness of the teeth, what we mean is the distance between the points. The more points per inch, the finer the teeth or blade is cut. The finer the cutting of the blade. Okay, but getting back to the saw itself, a fully functional guard. It must be able to adjust for depth, and we've got a depth here. There is a requirement under health and safety to ensure that the blade does not cut more than 3 meters beyond the material cutting. If I can explain that by showing you that to cut this OSB board, we must adjust that blade to no more than 3 mil beyond the thickness of that OSB board to cut through. It is a safety requirement, and again, it's designed so that in the event of somebody having their hand underneath the material and supporting it, you don't. You're going to cut your fingers, there's no doubt about that. If you leave your hand in place, but you're not going to cut fingers off. So a maximum of 3 mil beyond the material you are cutting. So, and we do that in this case with that lever inside there. Unlocked, we can adjust up and down and then lock it down. We have the base plate that we can angle as well. So we can angle that to a maximum of 45 degree angle like so. And we bring it back square. We have also a side pinch to help us, or side guide if you like, that we can attach to the saw to help us cut parallel to a edge. At the moment, it's a very small guide, if you like. What I'm looking at is that area there, very small. You can, if you look at the holes in the side there, attach a piece of wood, fix a piece of wood to it, making it a lot longer and a more efficient or better guide for you. What I'm going to do now is show you the different methods you can use when cutting sheet material. I've already set up a straight edge, and one of the favoured ways of cutting sheet material accurately is to actually use a straight edge. To do this, we literally have to ensure that our straight edge we're going to run along, and we're going to use this side of this base plate here to run along this straight edge. We're going to measure the distance between the blade, okay, and this edge of this base, okay, to run along the straight edge. Depending on which way you're working, you will also have to include the thickness of the blade. In this case, because I'm running or working the saw from this end and following that straight edge through, I would have to ensure that I've taken the thickness of the blade as well. Right, so we'll do that first. There's one way of cutting sheet material. Check that the trigger is actually off and we haven't got the button in holding the trigger in. Right, so that's all off. We can connect our power source. We can ensure that we've got our PPE on. Put the goggles on first. Make sure we've got no loose clothing. Run our lead over the shoulder so it's well out of the way. Line our tool up with a straight edge, ensuring that the cutter is not touching the sheet material. Hold it on a hand rest here, and we can proceed to start it up and cut through. I'm going to correct myself here. One thing I didn't do is adjust the depth. Okay, now with the depth adjusted, I can proceed to cut through the sheet material. As with all material you cut with portable power tools, it should be well supported at all times. Okay, so that's one way of cutting your sheet material, often favoured as a very accurate way of cutting sheet material. But I'm just going to demonstrate the use of the side pinch as a guide to that saw and cut through. These off. Okay, as you can see, the guide goes against the edge. You have a correct or measured distance. Often you put a line through, you can then start your saw up. It's also good practice to mix, just run the saw into the material a couple of mil just to check that you've got the right size. And when you're happy that we've got the right size, you can then proceed and cut through. As with the side bench, one other method we can actually use is freehand. There's no reason why you can't. If we put a pencil line through our material, okay, we can proceed to cut that through freehand. And of course it's only as good as you are. So there's nothing wrong with the method. Obey the rules about the depth of blade. But this time we're going to follow a notch at the front of the base plate here. Okay? And provided we put that on the line, okay, and then the line, what I'm looking at is that position there is lined up on our pencil line, and that when the blade engages the material, that is also lined up with a pencil line on the correct side. Okay, as you can probably see, with that, if we put a straight edge against that cut, it's not perfect by any means. So you have to make a judgment of what method is best for you, depending on how straight you want that line. In some cases, there's no need to have it perfect. In other cases, you want a perfectly straight line. So that is a portable power tool, skil tool. We do have battery operated ones. They're normally very lightweight saws, a lot smaller. The only trouble with them is they do tend to get misused. They are very portable, very convenient. You haven't got to worry about leads and connecting leads up. And they get misused in that they are being asked to cut materials far beyond the recommended depth they're supposed to be cutting. In i.e., majority the small ones we have here at the college ideally will cut a maximum of 3/4 of an inch of sheet material, whereas some people have asked of those tools to cut 1.5 or 2-inch material, which is too much. It's too much for the type of saw. So, as with all portable power tools, have an understanding and what the maximum cuts are in the material. This has a maximum, okay, and you shouldn't go beyond that. So, as with all portable power tools, if you're unfamiliar with them, you should be reading the manufacturer's instructions to get familiar and know what you can and can't do